Chapter 985. Sky Bearing raised his head slightly. The Emperor's bedroom is still lit, he shouldn't be asleep yet. Emperor. Something big has happened. Sky Bearing's voice couldn't help but become louder. We must wake up the Emperor. After shouting, Sky Bearing lowered his head, and beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Even now, he still felt as if he was dreaming. That damned Yihua, why is he still alive? Why didn't the heavens take him away? Why are they still letting him appear? What are you making noise for? What big matter has happened? Am I going to die? Huang Feidi's voice rang out in the bedroom. His tone was filled with deep dissatisfaction, as if he was interrupted. Following the Emperor's words, Sky Bearing could hear the dissatisfaction of a woman, the coquettishness, as well as the Emperor's consolation. Emperor, this subject has an urgent matter to report, it is extremely urgent. Sky Bearing hurriedly shouted. A cold snort sounded from the room, and not long after, the door in front of the Sky Bearing Empire opened. Sky Bearing bowed and walked in with small steps. Huang Feidi was wearing a white robe and sitting in the study room, pouring himself a cup of water. You have disturbed my mood today. If you don't have a sufficient reason, you should know what the consequences are. Huang Feidi didn't even look at Sky Bearing as he said slowly. Accompanying the Emperor was like accompanying a tiger, there was no such thing as an eternal favorite. Sky Bearing immediately knelt beside Huang Feidi and said respectfully, Emperor, please forgive me. This subject is useless. I asked you to go to Yi family to take a look, how can you say that you are useless? Could it be that Yi Shan dares to make things difficult for you? Huang Feidi questioned. Sky Bearing took a deep breath and crawled even deeper. Emperor, it isn't Yi Shan from Yi family who is making things difficult for this subject, it is Yi Hua from Yi family. Huang Feidi snorted, Yi Hua. Looking at the Emperor's expression, it seemed like he hadn't remembered. However, just when he was about to drink the water, Huang Feidi froze and looked down at Sky Bearing. What did you just say? Emperor. Yi family. Yi Hua didn't die. He is back. A crisp sound rang out. The teacup in Huang Feidi's hand fell to the ground. This wasn't because he was frightened, but because he was shocked. As the teacup broke, many people dressed in black could be seen rushing out from all directions. These were the people who were protecting the Emperor in the dark. Back down. Huang Feidi shouted lightly. Yes. In the blink of an eye, they all disappeared. Seeing such a huge reaction from the Emperor, Sky Bearing was also a little flustered. He did not understand why the Emperor was like this. Was he afraid? Or was it because of something? You're right. The eldest young master of the Yi family, Yi Hua. Huang Feidi leaned forward and asked solemnly. Sky Bearing didn't dare to look straight at Huang Feidi. He lowered his head and said sincerely, that's right, it's the Yi Hua. Hearing this answer, Huang Feidi slowly closed his eyes. This damnable Yi Hua. Why is he not dead yet? Didn't he die back then? Why did he come back? Tell me everything you saw tonight. Yes. Hearing Sky Bearing's narration, Huang Feidi's gaze gradually turned grave. The moment this Yi Hua came back, he beat me up, and he even tore apart more than half of Yi family. Is this still the Yi Hua of the past? Huang Feidi laughed lightly. To think that Yi Hua would actually lose his memories. This Yi Hua is rather curious. This kind of thing is really interesting. However, Yi Hua, you should not have come back. Many people will be unhappy with your return, including this Empress. You can leave now. Yes. Sky Bearing respectfully left. No matter how powerful he was just an imperial bodyguard. To put it bluntly, he was just a bodyguard of the Emperor. It was just that simple. there were some important matters that Sky Bearing didn't even have the chance to be involved in. How could Huang Feidi, who was sitting in the study room, still have the mood to be intimate with a woman? Towards Yihua's sudden appearance, he was caught unprepared. Men! Huang Feidi shouted out gravely. Sky Bearing, who just walked out, walked back in. Your Majesty. Call Shan Junren over. Yes. Shan Junren was the Prime Minister of Lingdu. His position was very high, and there was a saying that he was only below one person and above tens of thousands of people. Among the three great families of Lingdu, other than the Qian family, the Shan family was the same. Your Majesty, that beautiful concubine could be seen walking over leisurely with her soft tongue licking the corner of her lips. How could Huang Feidi have the mood to deal with such things right now? He said softly, you can return first. Your Majesty, the concubine continued acting coquettishly. It seemed like she still wanted to obtain the favor of this deity realm's emperor. What an honor that would be. If I can give birth to a boy, my status would instantly rise. This is a rare opportunity. Huang Feidi's expression sunk. I don't want to say it a second time. The concubine was startled and immediately said respectfully, this concubine shall take her leave. Your Majesty, rest early. Huang Feidi nodded and waved his hand. The concubine left with a disappointed expression. She was truly reluctant to part with Huang Feidi. Huang Feidi slowly closed his eyes and pondered. This sudden news was truly hard for him to accept. Right at this moment, a black figure slowly condensed in the air. It was a man wearing a black cloak, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. Huang Feidi took a look and said faintly, Jackdaw is here. Yes, Your Majesty. This jackdaw's voice was a bit hoarse, and it made one feel uncomfortable. However, when this jackdaw saw Huang Feidi, he didn't kneel down. Instead, he acted respectfully. Wait for Prime Minister. Huang Feidi said faintly. Yes. After about the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, Shan Junren finally arrived. This subject greets Your Majesty. Shan Junren was a white-haired old man. However, to a deity, this was nothing more than a bag of skin. If it was possible, Shan Junren could also turn into a young fellow. It was just that he wasn't willing to do so. You may rise. Thank you, Your Majesty. After Shan Junren stood up, he greeted Jackdaw who was beside him. Jackdaw nodded his head in response. Huang Feidi said gravely, Yihua is still alive. Hearing this, Shan Junren was clearly startled. On the other hand, Jackdaw's reaction was rather normal. There wasn't much fluctuation in his emotions. Your Majesty, could it be that the commotion tonight was caused by Yihua? Shan Junren asked gravely. Huang Feidi didn't answer Jackdaw's question. What I'm curious about is the already dead Yihua. Why did he suddenly return? Is this a fake? Shan Junren tightly furrowed his brows. In his heart, he was extremely shocked. The Yi family's young master is actually still alive. This is impossible. As he thought about this, Shan Junren looked towards Jackdaw. However, Huang Feidi also looked towards Jackdaw, seemingly waiting for Jackdaw's confirmation. Jackdaw said softly, Your Majesty, Prime Minister, back then, I personally saw the demon emperor kill Yihua. I threw his corpse into the Tao Ocean. I'm absolutely certain of this. End of this chapter. Chapter 986. Then you shouldn't have come back. The sea of the path is boundless, and humans can't survive in it. Shan Junren whispered. He knew what Jackdaw was trying to say. Jackdaw wanted to kill Yihua without giving him any chance to live. Jackdaw said in a low voice, perhaps this Yihua is fake. Okay, if it's fake, then it's easy. But what if it's real? How should we deal with it? This emperor does not wish to hear my people shouting for someone other than the imperial family again. Huang Feidi said coldly. The memories of the past were still fresh in his mind. At first, he didn't pay much attention to it, but soon, the cheers grew louder and louder, even surpassing him, the emperor. His achievements overshadowed the Lord. His achievements overshadowed his masters. Furthermore, this Yihua really doesn't know how to conduct himself. Does he really think that he is the emperor? To think that he is even going to stand up for my people, who gave him the guts to do this. Leaving someone like that alive would definitely be a disaster, so they had to think of a way to get rid of him. It had to be said that their luck was quite good. Yihua had died at the hands of the demon emperor. Originally, Jackdaw had been the one to finish him off. That would have been perfect. Shan Junren said gravely, "Your Majesty, if this Yihua is real, then it will be a very big trouble. It's even more troublesome than back then." Prime Minister is right. After Yihua's death, in order to show his benevolence, His Majesty conferred Yihua the title of Great General Shanyong, allowing him to enjoy all the privileges of the emperor. However, now that Yihua has returned alive, this means that he is a living Great General Shanyong. Using the words of His Majesty back then, you are on equal footing with him. Jackdaw's words caused Huang Feidi's expression to become even more gloomy. Who knew that Yihua would still be alive? What does it matter to confer a title on a dead person? The problem was that the dead man had returned. So, let me ask you, is there any way to solve this problem? Huang Feidi questioned coldly. He was very vexed and depressed. This is simply lifting a rock and dropping it on my own feet. Back then, why did I confer the title of Shan Yong Great General for no reason, and even said those words? Although the effect was not bad, but now, Your Majesty, this subject feels that we should quietly observe the situation and see if this Yihua is real or fake. I believe that Yi Shan will definitely be able to verify it. Shan Junren suggested. Rather than making wild guesses, it was better to see how others would make their first move. After that, he would be able to see what would happen next. Jackdaw, tell me, said Huang Feidi in a low voice. Jackdaw took a deep breath. Your Majesty, I have a plan. Oh. Tell me. Huang Feidi's interest was piqued. Your Majesty, I'm sure you know about the 9th Prince and Qian Yuqing. Huang Feidi instantly understood. Prime Minister, what do you think of this matter? Huang Feidi asked. Shan Junren pondered for a bit, then said respectfully, Your Majesty, Qian Yuqing and Yehua's wedding is not considered complete, but after all, it has been 1,000 years. The 9th Prince's matter has long been spread in the city. Everyone is very optimistic about the two of them. As he spoke up to hear, Shan Junren paused for a moment, and then said with a cold tone, If Your Majesty wants to use this opportunity to get rid of Yihua, then you must announce the marriage between the 9th Prince and Qian Yuqing to the God's realm before everyone knows that Yihua has returned. Jackdaw nodded. If Yihua dares to act recklessly, the Emperor has 100 ways to punish him. Of course, the precondition is that Yihua is still thinking about Qian Yuqing. Good. Huang Feidi clapped his hands and stood up. As long as I don't get rid of this Yihua, he will be a thorn in my heart. Tomorrow morning, I will announce the marriage between Yun, and Qian Yuqing to the world. Huang Feidi originally cared about this matter. After all, Qian Yuqing used to be Yihua's woman. Although she didn't marry him, they still had a relationship. However, Huang Yun was the son he valued the most. If his son liked her, how could he not allow it? However, right now, it wasn't a matter of liking or not. He just wanted to use this matter to make Yihua rebel. That way, he would have an excuse to get rid of this brave general. Everyone would have nothing to say. When the time came, they would even shout that the emperor was wise. Since the matter was decided, Huang Feidi immediately wrote an imperial edict and handed it to the manager. Tomorrow morning, he would announce it. Shan Junren and Jackdaw left one after another. Meanwhile, Huang Feidi went to Huang Yun's sleeping quarters to check on the situation. "Your Majesty has arrived." A sharp voice rang out. Huang Yun wasn't sleepy at all. He was sitting on a chair in deep thought. When he heard the voice outside, he immediately got up and went to welcome the emperor. "Your son greets father." Huang Yun respectfully shouted. "You may rise." The father and son walked into the room. Huang Yun stood beside Huang Feidi and asked respectfully, "Father, it is already so late. Do you have any instructions?" "Yun, tomorrow, the marriage between you and Qian Yuqing will be announced to the world." Huang Feidi went straight to the point. Huang Yun's gaze shook, and joy immediately appeared on his face. He hurriedly kneeled down and "Thank you, father, for helping me." "You should have met Yihua, right?" Huang Feidi asked confusedly. Huang Yun, who was kneeling on the ground, trembled. After a while, he said gravely, "I have met him." "How do you feel?" Huang Feidi asked. "Very strong." Huang Feidi laughed lightly. "He is indeed very strong. After returning, he even dared to beat me up. However, this time, father will not let him off. You should understand what I mean, right?" Huang Yun wasn't an idiot. When he heard his father mention Yihua, he immediately understood why his father was so anxious. If Yihua was to be announced to the world before everyone knew about it, then Qian Yuqing would be a woman of the royal family, and he, Yihua, would be nothing. If you dare to touch a woman of the royal family, you will be surrounded and attacked by the entire God's realm. "Father, I understand. I will listen to father's arrangements." Huang Feidi was very gratified. He stood up and patted on his son's shoulder, prepared to be the groom. Yes. To be honest, back then, even Huang Feidi wanted to marry Qian Yuqing, but in the end, Qian Yuqing was snatched away by Yihua. Does this count as letting the son obtain what the father can't obtain? Son respectfully sends off father. Looking at his father leaving, a happy smile finally appeared on Huang Yun's face. This Yihua's appearance is rather good, to actually be able to make father agree to it. I thought that I would have to persuade father bitterly. Upon thinking that tomorrow was coming, Huang Yun was unable to conceal the excitement in his heart. Meanwhile, in Yi family, Yi Shan was finally woken up by Yi Qin and the others. Evil creature. I am going to hack him into pieces. The moment Yi Shan opened his eyes, he shouted out explosively. Lord Father, don't be impulsive, you won't be able to win against Big Brother. Yi Liangkai pulled onto his father and told him the truth. Yi Shan froze, and the scene from earlier replayed within his mind. I actually can't even win against my son, and I was even thrown around by my son. Yi Chen discovered that his father's back view had suddenly become much older, and he hurriedly said, Lord Father, what should we do now? End of this chapter. Chapter 987. Yi Shan looked up at the starry sky. After a long time, he said indifferently, Tomorrow, I'll go to the palace to meet the emperor. It seemed like his father was going to ask the emperor for help. This was also a good thing, but he was afraid that Big Brother would even dare to beat the emperor, then the whole Yi clan would be buried with him. No. Right now, Big Brother can also be counted as a kind and brave great general. Back then, the emperor had even personally said to me that in the future, I will be addressing Big Brother as my brother. There won't be any distinction between us. At that time, when everyone heard it, they had even loudly praised the emperor for being wise. Now that Big Brother was back, could it be said that he was on equal footing with the emperor? Father! Don't get agitated. Yi Chen quickly shouted and said what he was thinking. Yi Shan calmed down a lot after hearing this. Third brother was right, but this matter still had to be discussed with the emperor. Back then, he had already implicated the Yi clan once. This time, he must not let him implicate the Yi clan again. Yi Liangkai and Yi Zhu stood at the side without saying a word. They were digesting what had happened tonight. Now, Big Brother had become a figure that could not be provoked. In the past, Big Brother could still be provoked, even if it was just a few words. But look at his father. He hadn't even started talking and was already being beaten up by his big brother. How terrifying. Right now, Yi Hua still didn't know that the emperor had already started scheming against him. Yi Hua also didn't care about those things. To the god's realm, he was just a passerby, and the food that mother cooks is rather delicious. In the future, I will let Qingye and Donghuang Baiji learn how to cook. Thinking up to here, Yi Hua became puzzled. Why do I want Qingye and Donghuang Baiji to learn from each other? Could it be that I am planning to bring my mother over to Wushu Empire? After finishing the 3 dishes in front of him, Yi Hua was very satisfied. Yi Juetian, who was sitting at the side, was also very happy. When Lu Jing saw that her son had eaten all the food she had cooked, she was very happy. She hadn't felt this kind of happiness in a long time. It could be said that she had fulfilled one of her wishes. Little Tian, clean up. Yi Juetian looked at his mother. This change happened too quickly, catching him off guard. He was unable to react at all. Mother is too biased, doesn't she know that the little one is actually very hungry too? Yi Juetian had no choice but to pack his things and walk out of the house. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. His mother was calling him away and telling him not to be a third wheel. This is so miserable. Right now, I am the third wheel. Within the room, Yi Hua's heart was a bit nervous. The woman in front of me is both unfamiliar and familiar at the same time. Right now, I basically don't know what to say. Chat. He didn't seem to have anything else to talk about. He still wanted to call her mother, but he wasn't ready yet, so he couldn't bring himself to do so. Yi Hua's hands that were placed on the table were held by Lu Jing. Facing such an action, Yi Hua's entire body trembled. Yi Hua, it's great to be able to see you back again. Lu Jing said with a satisfied smile as she lightly rubbed the back of Yi Hua's hand, feeling the feeling of the past. Yi Hua did not say anything. Lu Jing did not blame Yi Hua. After all, Yi Hua had lost his memories right now. Perhaps, Lu Jing might feel that it was a bit strange, but they were, after all, mother and son. After interacting with each other for a long time, that feeling that she had not felt for a long time would appear again. Actually, in mother's heart, there are 2 things that have always been on my mind. Right now, one of the things has already been completed, and there is only one thing left. While speaking, Lu Jing looked at Yi Hua with an unusual smile on her face. Yi Hua felt as if he was going to sell his main body out. Yi Hua looked as if he was going to sell his main body out. Lu Jing laughed tenderly. Yuqing is a good girl. Yi Hua, you can't let others down, do you understand? Right now, mother only has one request, and that is for you to give Yuqing a perfect ending. I already have a wife. Yi Hua said faintly. Towards Qian Yuqing, I don't know what kind of feeling I have. If this woman is to be a collectible, this woman is indeed worth collecting, but if it is love? I feel that it has not reached that stage yet. This Qian Yuqing really likes me in the past. It is a pity that I am no longer the same person in the past. This is destined to be an ill-fated relationship. Seems to be a bit too much. If I collect them together with Daji, I can still consider it. However, it is definitely impossible for someone like Qingye and the others. I don't have any feelings for Qian Yuqing at all. Yi Hua was also lying to himself. If I really don't like Qian Yuqing, why did I save her that day in the Imperial Palace? I even took advantage of her and hugged her. One must know that Yihua is also a man who has misophobia. Normally, Yihua wouldn't even touch a woman. For Yihua to touch a woman, that woman must definitely be an outstanding beauty. After listening to what Yihua said, Lu Jing let out a light sigh. Yihua, after being away from home for so many years, it is normal for you to have a wife. However, mother wants to tell you that Yuqing has sacrificed too much for you. You cannot break her heart, do you understand? With so many people saying that Qian Yuqing sacrificed too much for me, even I, the Supreme Overlord, believe it. In actuality, Yihua naturally believed it. For the sake of meeting me, this woman is not even afraid of death. It would be a lie to say that I am not touched. However, I am still a man. Do you think that I will let you chase after me so easily? Wouldn't that make me seem very frivolous? Furthermore, even if you want to chase after me, you have to spend some time with me first and let me see if you are worthy of being a wife or not. Recently, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji have become a bit too arrogant. My sister-in-law is still the best, she can just run out of the house and make me worry a lot less. Looking at her son who was in a daze, Lu Jing asked gently, Yihua, did you hear what mother said? Oh. N. Yihua went into a daze for a moment, then said with a doubtful tone. However, Lu Jing didn't hear what Yihua said and thought that Yihua had agreed to it. Lu Jing immediately laughed. Yihua, you are truly mother's good son. For Yuqing to have a husband like you, she will definitely be happy for the rest of her life. Her efforts have finally been rewarded. Yihua looked at his mother blankly. What did I just say? Chinese characters are broad and profound, and different pronunciations represent different meanings. Even the same word is different in different places. For example, F***K. This word is too profound, even I like it. Who doesn't like flowers and plants? You humans with problematic thoughts, I am still pure enough. However, I really didn't say that just now. Yihua, have a good sleep tonight. After that, go and look for Yuqing tomorrow. Do you know, other girls have already waited for you for thousands of years, don't let them continue to wait. Mother feels sad when I look at Yuqing. Yihua didn't know what to say anymore. Reject me now. My words are of enormous weight, and not even 100 undead Kuan can pull me back. However, didn't I say that just now? This is a combination of contradictions. Ah, big brother, you finally thought it through. Sister-in-law has finally waited for this day, this is truly great. At this moment, Yi Juetian suddenly ran out and cried out in surprise. End of chapter. Chapter 988. Yi Juetian continued, Big brother, you are really something. If you like her, then so be it. You even locked sister-in-law outside for a few days. Don't you feel heartache? Ah. Yihua, you locked Yuqing outside. What's wrong? Lu Jing asked hurriedly, thinking that they were having a conflict. Yihua took a look at Yi Juetian, and Yi Juetian immediately had a bad feeling. Little Tian, sigh. Even Yihua himself was unable to say it out loud, and thus, he could only speak with this kind of tone that was hard to speak out. Yi Juetian was stupefied. Big brother, your framing and framing are truly at the point of perfection. Lil Tian, tell mother why your big brother and sister-in-law had a conflict. Was it because of you? Lu Jing asked sternly. She thought that Lil Tian was still so immature. Yi Juetian felt that he wasn't a match for his big brother. In the past, his big brother didn't even have this kind of brain, he was just a simple-minded person. Big brother felt that his IQ had increased. With just one sentence, he could make his mother scold him. Mother, have a good chat with big brother. I'll go back and rest first. Bye. Little Tian. Little Tian. Lu Jing called out softly. How could Yi Juetian dare to stay any longer? A trace of an arc appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth. However, when his mother turned her head around, that trace of arc immediately disappeared, and Yihua became the cold and aloof Yihua. Yihua, live well with Yuqing in the future. Do you understand? Mother will be at ease then. Sigh, seeing that mother is persuading me like this, I will reluctantly accept it. This is truly unbearable. Yihua replied lightly. Lu Jing's face was brimming with a happy smile, and her face was filled with gratification. Yihua, when you have time, bring your wife over and let mother take a look at her. Okay. In actuality, back then, when he was talking to the aunt, his attitude was basically the same, just that he didn't say anything. Lu Jing could finally put down the stone in her heart. That was great. Yihua suddenly thought of something and said lightly, I still have 4 children. After hearing that, Lu Jing was startled. Then, she grabbed onto Yihua's arm with both of her hands. Really? Quickly bring it over and let mother take a look. My God, I have actually become a grandmother. This is great. Yihua actually has 4 children. I wonder if they look like Yihua or not. Yihua's hand moved, and a photo appeared in his hand. Lu Jing picked up the photo with doubt and looked at the family of 8 in the photo. The 4 children were standing at the front with smiles on their faces. Yihua was standing in the middle, and on his left and right were 3 women, and all of them looked very beautiful. His son had good taste. And these children, they look so good. Yihua's genes are indeed powerful. Good, good, good. Lu Jingxin was satisfied. However, Yihua, why are there 3 of them? In actuality, I have 3 wives, and one of my wives is not in the palace. Thus, Shao Tian thought that I only have 2 wives. Yihua explained. Right now, his words didn't seem to be that stiff anymore. Lu Jing nodded. She didn't blame them because these 3 daughters-in-law seemed to be pretty good. Yihua, that's why you can't treat Yuqing unfairly. Love Yuqing well and strive to give birth to a chubby boy next year. What else could Yihua do? Right now, he could only nod his head and agree to it. In the end, the mother and son chatted for a while more, and after that, Lu Jing looked for Yi Juetian and asked him to arrange Yihua's residence. Big brother, good job, this is my big brother. Yi Juetian happily held onto Yihua's shoulder. Yihua didn't say anything. Could it be that I am going to chop off my own little brother's arm? Don't force me. Yihua said faintly. TSK, 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 if big sister-in-law becomes another woman, big brother, you can say these words again. Yi Juetian said with a teasing tone. After hearing that, Yihua didn't say anything. Yi Juetian brought Yihua to his previous room, then asked curiously, Big brother, do you have any impression of this place? Yihua took a look at his surroundings, but he didn't have any impression of this place. Sigh. Yi Juetian knew that this would be the case. I still have to think of a way to deal with Big Brother's amnesia. The amnesia of the undead was a kind of order, and no one was able to change it. That's right, Big Brother, there is something that I have to tell you about. Yi Juetian told Yihua about the matter regarding Great General Shan Yong, letting his big brother know what was going on. Upon hearing such news, Yihua chuckled lightly. Does that emperor have the qualifications to sit on the same level as me? What kind of joke is that? Do you know why you are still alive right now? That is because I am benevolent. This sentence can also be said to every single god. Big brother, don't secretly meet up with big sister-in-law. With a cheeky smile on his face, Yi Juetian left. Yihua shook his head. I, the Supreme Overlord, have always been the one being chased, so how can I possibly chase after a woman? Furthermore, I, the Supreme Overlord, have never met up with a woman in private. Sitting on the bed, Yihua waved his hand. The entire room could be seen lighting up, and a human figure could be seen slowly appearing. Yihua finally saw his past self. Very handsome, very cold, and somewhat similar to the appearance of the Supreme Overlord. However, it is still not enough. However, this hairstyle is not bad. I, the Supreme Overlord, have never had long hair before, so I can give it a try. Suddenly, Yihua saw that the floor was moving. A beautiful figure walked out from the floor, then pounced into Yihua's embrace. That appearance was exactly the same as when Qingye and Donghuang Baiji leaned into Yihua's embrace. Chapter 989. Do you want to fight? Come on. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The two fans immediately started fighting. However, Yi Shan did not look at them and walked towards the notice board. When he saw the good news on the notice board, Yi Shan was stunned. The emperor actually approved the marriage. Yi Shan immediately understood. For the emperor to approve the marriage at this crucial moment, it is obviously against Yihua. If Yihua dares to act recklessly, I will have an excuse to kill this brave great general. This is a good plan, but if Yihua really falls for it, wouldn't this Wang Fei find an excuse to exploit Yi family? Right now, Yi Shan was uncertain. I don't even want to enter the palace anymore, I don't have the mood to do so. Just what is the emperor planning to do? Is he planning to get rid of Yihua alone, or is he planning to get rid of Yi family? With a solemn look in his eyes, Yi Shan walked back. Did you see that? Yi family head is having a headache. How can he not have a headache? This Qian Yuqing is our Lingdu's #1 beauty, and in the past, she was also his daughter-in-law. Right now, seeing that his daughter-in-law actually married into the royal family, anyone would feel heartache for this matter. That's right, if only Yihua was still alive, then he would be able to clearly see this woman's true colors. In the end, she still abandoned you and threw herself into the embrace of another man. What do you all know? Qian Yuqing has always liked Yihua. Who knows, maybe this woman is dangling the 9th prince as a spare tire. Scum. Brother, you are very particular. Towards this marriage, everyone had different opinions. Some people felt pity for Yihua. If they knew about this, they would definitely jump out from their coffins. Meanwhile, in Qian family, Qian Yi had just woken up and was currently washing up. Family head, congratulations family head, congratulations family head. A few servants could be seen kneeling towards Qian Yi with a face full of excitement. Qian Yi laughed lightly, then took out some gold coins from her sleeve and sprinkled them on the ground, just like feeding a dog. What is there to congratulate? Qian Yi asked curiously. One of the servants said excitedly, family head, the emperor has issued a decree. The 9th prince and the young lady's marriage has been approved. After hearing that, Qian Yi immediately went into a daze. She immediately helped the servant up and asked carefully, explain it clearly. You'll be rewarded if you speak clearly. Patriarch, the emperor has already announced the marriage between the young miss and the 9th prince to the world. The servant shouted excitedly as if he was the one marrying the young Mississippi. The pleasant surprise came too quickly. Qian Yi felt a little dizzy. Ever since he became a supreme being, he had never felt so dizzy. In the end, he came today. Seeing that the family head was about to collapse, all the servants surrounded him and carefully supported him. Qian Yi suddenly laughed and threw a bag of gold coins on the ground, causing the servants to frantically scramble for them. However, outside Qian Yuqing's room, a group of maids respectfully shouted, "Congratulations, Mississippi." Qian Yuqing, who had just woken up, was very confused. Why did they come to congratulate her so early in the morning? Qian Yuqing opened the door and saw the maids kneeling on the ground. What's wrong? Young lady, the emperor has issued a decree. The marriage between the 9th prince and young lady will be held in 7 days. Hearing this news, Qian Yuqing did not dare to believe it. She revealed the same expression as her father, but their mentalities were completely different. Say that again. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. The maids repeated what they said just now. Qian Yuqing felt a little dizzy. Seeing that the young miss looked like she was about to faint from happiness, the maids immediately went up to support her. The emperor has actually issued a decree. How is this possible? Could it be that the imperial cloud is begging the emperor? That must be the case. Could it be that the emperor doesn't care about anything? Just what are these people thinking? I am a married woman, and there are still so many people who want to marry me. They must all be crazy. Qian Yuqing directly walked into the room and closed the door. All the maids were very puzzled. Why is the young miss angry? Such a good thing. If it were me, I would definitely faint from happiness. At this moment, Qian Yi walked over and took out a bag of gold coins and threw it on the ground. The maids still frantically scrambled for the gold coins. Yuqing, Yuqing, father is coming in. Qian Yi knocked on the door, then walked into the room. Right now, Qian Yuqing was lying on the bed and crying softly. When it really happened, Qian Yuqing felt very helpless. She really wanted to talk to Yihua and ask Yihua to help her, but she was already at her limit. It was so hard, so tiring. Within Yi family, Yihua woke up. His mood today was pretty good. After all, I know who my mother is. When the time comes, I just have to find out the cause of my death and find out who exactly was the one who killed me. I, the Supreme Overlord, have been exterminated twice in a row. Is it a problem with human nature, or is it a problem with being a person? Or is it a problem with my personality? Will there be a third extermination? If there really is such an awesome person, I, the Supreme Overlord, will be very happy. I hope that awesome person will quickly come out and compete with me. Yihua, who was in a pretty good mood, changed his hairstyle, and even the clothes that he was wearing changed as well. Yihua, who was in a pretty good mood, changed his hairstyle today, and even the clothes that he was wearing were changed as well. Chapter 990. Nothing, Yi Liangkai said softly. Yihua took a look at Yi Liangkai, and the latter shrunk back, appearing to be very afraid. This big brother had really changed. In the past, although his gaze was cold, there was still a trace of kinship in it. But now, there was no kinship in the coldness, only a trace of killing intent. Yihua didn't pay attention to him, turned around, and walked towards the entrance of Yi family. The attitude he displayed was like the boss of Yi family. Why did Yihua want to go out early in the morning? The reason was actually very simple. He wanted to go out and see what breakfast was available. After all, it was the god's realm, so the breakfast should be rich and varied. Moreover, other than eating breakfast, he also needed to let others know that he had returned. Take it as revenge for my past self. Yihua stood in front of Yihua's house, and the guards on both sides were still looking at Yihua with an astonished gaze. It felt so unreal. Yihua slowly walked down the stairs, and his outfit quickly attracted everyone's attention. A man who saw Yihua was already shocked to the point that he was speechless. This is... A woman who was holding her child's hand looked at Yihua, who was slowly walking over. Back then, I was still young, but now, I have become the mother of my child. Oh my God! I saw a ghost. Ah! This is Yihua. It can't be that Yi Juetian is impersonating him, right? One of the men asked doubtfully. However, he was quickly refuted by a group of people. For Yi Juetian to have this kind of expression, he can't even compare to Yi Huajun. That's right, this is the real Yi Huajun. Aren't you curious whether this is a human or a ghost? The group of girls rolled their eyes. Such a handsome guy, even if he's a ghost, I'd still recognize him. The news of Yihua appearing on the streets quickly spread throughout the entire spirit city. Some people were simply running around and shouting at the top of their lungs. What Yihua is back. Everyone, quickly come and take a look. Towards this kind of situation, Yihua appeared to be very calm and collected. This is just a small scene, and I, the Supreme Overlord, don't put it in my eyes at all. As for these women, they were no different from those women on earth. When they saw me, they wanted to offer their filthy bodies to me. They were really shameless. Am I that kind of man? However, the breakfast in this spirit capital is still nothing much. I still feel that the breakfast on earth is delicious enough. Suddenly, he wanted to eat fried dough sticks and porridge. The combination of the two was a perfect match. Let's try the meat buns here first. They look pretty good. Yihua could be seen walking towards a meat bun shop, and when the boss saw Yihua walking over, his face lit up. Yihua-jun, you're finally back. Shao AI, hurry up and prepare some meat buns for Yihua-jun, the uncle selling meat buns said excitedly. This caused Yihua to be very puzzled. Your expression is a bit too exaggerated. Therefore, Yihua waited quietly and did not have any reaction. The boss didn't seem to know what to say. Yihua took the 2 meat buns from the middle-aged woman and asked faintly, how much is it? Yihua-jun, there's no need for money. If it wasn't for you, Shao AI and I would have been chased out of spirit capital long ago. After listening to what Yihua said, Yihua finally understood. It seems like in the past, I have always been a good person and doing good deeds. However, I, the Supreme Overlord, will never owe money when I eat. Putting things on credit is not my character. How much is it? Yihua asked again, and this time, his tone was a bit impatient. The boss was shocked and hurriedly said, even if it's me, Yihua-jun. Yihua took out 2 gold coins and placed it on the table, then left. Gold coins should be the universal currency. Using 2 gold coins to exchange for 2 meat buns, who else is more extravagant than me? If you're not convinced, then feel free to argue. Following Yihua's reappearance on the street seemed to be surging with people. Everyone came to watch the show, causing Yihua to feel very awkward. They looked extremely similar to those idol-chasing people, that kind of passionate and fanatical gaze, as if with just a word from me, they would abandon their lives. In the past, Yihua was able to bluff these commoners into becoming obedient. I'm afraid that I'm doing this to build a good foundation for myself to become an emperor. Thinking up to here, the corner of Yihua's mouth slightly arced up. Interesting. You have concealed yourself quite deeply, I saw through you with just a single look. Unfortunately, I was schemed against by someone else. If not, I'm afraid that you would have become an emperor by now. Not bad, I thought that you were a good person, but it turns out that your schemes aren't just ordinary. To win over the hearts of the people, to prepare to rebel against the heavens. If I didn't guess wrongly, this fellow was clearly getting married with Qian Yuqing on that day, but before the wedding ceremony was over, he ran out to fight. What kind of big matter caused him to not even have the mood to get married? From what I deduced, this fellow was precisely waiting for this opportunity. Because he knew that these people had already started to make their moves. If he was able to survive, he would have an excuse to overthrow the emperor. At that time, all of the commoners would be cheering for Yihua. What a pity, he was still too young and was killed. If he wasn't killed, I wouldn't have appeared. Isn't it just that he wants to become an emperor? Let me think of a way, it might really be possible. Are you Yihua-jun? A little girl could be seen standing in front of Yihua. The little girl raised her head and asked curiously. Yihua lowered his head and looked at the little girl, and discovered that the little girl looked a bit similar to Ali when she was young. Thus, Yihua asked curiously, what's wrong? Yihua-jun, follow me. The little girl seemed to be very anxious as she pulled Yihua and ran. Yihua was helpless. After all, my identity right now is the good Yihua who loves his people. Thus, Yihua temporarily put away his slightly ferocious side. Very quickly, Yihua was pulled to the side of the notice board. Right now, everyone was looking at Yihua's expression. They were very curious as to what would happen if Yihua saw his woman getting married to someone else. This spirit city would probably tremble 3 times. Yihua indeed saw it, and his pair of eyes gradually narrowed. This Qian Yuqing, to think that she said that she was infatuated with me, but it turns out that she was rushing back to get married. Hee hee. This is simply a joke. Everyone saw that Yihua's expression gradually changed, and his expression became darker and darker. Big brother. Big brother. Why did you run out? Yi Juetian finally found his big brother. This morning, when he came out, he saw the news that his sister-in-law was going to get married. Thus, he became anxious and hurriedly ran back. He discovered that his big brother wasn't at home, and only after he went out did he find out that his big brother had actually run out to take a stroll. If big brother were to find out that his sister-in-law was going to get married to the royal family, wouldn't he go crazy? Facing Yi Juetian's words, everyone once again confirmed that this was indeed Yihua. However, Yi Juetian's words at the end were a bit strange. It was as if Yihua was a lunatic and suddenly ran out. Yihua turned around and looked at Yi Juetian coldly. The latter was given a fright. As expected, he got angry. Yihua walked towards Yi Juetian and stood in front of Yi Juetian, then stretched out his hand and poked Yi Juetian's chest. This is the good woman that you guys are talking about. Sorry, I went out to give New Year greetings today. End of this chapter. Chapter 991. After saying that, he left without looking back. He was in a bad mood. It was as if his pet was disobedient and went to eat other people's meat. What was the point of having such a pet? It was already benevolent of me to not directly cut it off. Big brother, wait a minute. Yi Juetian hurriedly chased after him. It seemed like something had happened. Big brother had just returned and the emperor had already issued an edict. This was obviously directed at big brother. In the crowd, some men quietly left and rushed back to the palace to report the news. With a cold expression on his face, Yihua walked towards Yi family. Meanwhile, Yi Juetian hurriedly chased after Yihua and explained, Big brother, don't be fooled, big sister-in-law is sincere towards you. Sincere? The imperial board has already been posted out, do you think it's sincere? Yihua said coldly. Big brother, think about it. You've just come back and the emperor has already issued an edict. There are many suspicious points in this. I guess he wants you to fight with sister-in-law. Don't be fooled. Yi Juetian was really anxious. Yesterday, he was still thinking that his big brother and sister-in-law were finally together. He didn't expect things to change so quickly. Yihua sneered, then said in disdain, then, this emperor has successfully fooled me. Big brother. Yi Juetian shouted helplessly. He clearly knew that it was a trap, yet he still had to act like this. Big brother, you're the emperor of the Kangluo continent, don't you know about such a scheme? There's no need to say any more, I don't have such a woman. Yihua said coldly. I decided to tell this matter to my mother and not to mention this Qian Yuqing anymore in the future. After walking into Yi family, Yihua directly walked towards his mother's room, and Yi Juetian followed closely behind him. Today, Lu Jing was different from usual. She sat outside the courtyard and played the zither. Her complexion was also very good, which meant that she was in a good mood. However, when Lu Jing saw her son walking in with a gloomy face, she frowned. Her youngest son followed closely behind her with a melancholic expression. It seemed like something had happened. Yihua stood in front of Lu Jing. Meanwhile, Yi Juetian respectfully shouted out, Mother. Yihua, what's wrong? Lu Jing nodded her head and asked Yihua. Yihua said gravely, in the future, don't mention Qian Yuqing in front of me, and don't even think about marrying her. Impossible. Hearing Yihua's words, Lu Jing was startled. Yihua, what happened? Don't get too excited. Mother, His Majesty has already given the decree to betroth sister-in-law to the 9th prince. Yi Juetian added, he was also very helpless. What? Lu Jing exclaimed. Her son had just returned, and the emperor had already made such a move. It really caught her off guard. It seemed like his son was jealous. He said he didn't like it, so what was the point of being jealous now? Lu Jing held onto Yihua's hand and sat down, then said tenderly, Yihua, you must remain calm at a time like this. This is definitely not Yuqing's idea, this is the emperor's plan. Whether it's a scheme or not, this is my stance. Yihua said indifferently. Yihua seemed to have lost his rationality a bit. This was different from the Yihua in the past. In the past, no matter what happened, Yihua would not panic, even if he had a conflict with Qingya, he would not panic. But today, he looked like he was going to get a divorce and did not even give him a chance to explain. He even showed a very impulsive look, which was not up to standard. When Lu Jing saw her son's unyielding attitude, she persuaded, I know Yuqing. She would never do anything to let you down. At this point, the two of you should get through this together. I'm not interested in that, I'm going back to rest. Yihua said faintly, then turned around and left. Yihua. Lu Jing stood up and called out to Yihua. However, Yihua was the one who left. Seeing Yihua leave angrily, Lu Jing let out a light sigh, Little Tian, your big brother is currently in a fit of anger. Don't tell Yuqing about this, okay? Mother, I understand. Of course, Yi Juetian knew what his mother meant. She was afraid that his big brother would say something hurtful. After all, sister-in-law must be in a lot of pain now. If she was hurt by big brother and couldn't figure it out, what would happen? Right now, Yi Juetian was following behind Yihua. Even if Yihua were to walk into the house, Yi Juetian would still follow after Yihua. However, towards such a situation, Yihua did not stop them. However, in the Qian family, Qian Yuqing was already done grieving. Qian Yi comforted her for a long time but to no avail, so she left. Miss, your health is important. You should eat something. A maid standing on the side said respectfully. Qian Yuqing hadn't eaten anything yet, but it didn't matter to the gods. Qian Yuqing sat on the bed in a daze, thinking about how to get rid of this engagement. Miss. The maid seemed like she wanted to say something, but she was afraid. Qian Yuqing came back to her senses and said faintly, if you have something to say, just say it. It's like this, miss, I heard from those servants that Yihua came back today. The maid lowered her head and said. Yihua came back. Qian Yuqing didn't react for a moment. Yes, miss, a lot of people saw him on the streets today. Qian Yuqing finally reacted and immediately stood up, then asked excitedly, Yihua came back. Yes, miss. Looking at the smiling expression on the miss's face, the maid was a bit worried. Qian Yuqing was overjoyed. Yihua really came back, this is great, Yihua still likes me. This bad fellow, I even hugged him that day, and he still placed me back to where I was. I have never seen such a stupid man before. Under normal circumstances, at that time, I should have carried him into the house, and then, thinking about those embarrassing things, Qian Yuqing's face became a bit red. What am I thinking about? I really have to give it to him. Miss? The maid couldn't help but ask. Miss, you can't have gotten sick, right? Qian Yuqing hurriedly retracted her happy smile. Leave it here, you can go out first. All right, miss. The maid said respectfully. After the maid left, Qian Yuqing ate a bit of the food, then let the maid carry the food out, then went to the secret passage. Of course, she was going to look for Yihua. Inside Yihua's room, the two brothers were currently drinking and playing. To be more precise, Yi Juetian was accompanying his big brother to drink. Who was the one who suggested drinking? Of course, it was Yihua who suggested it, just like how he himself was unhappy. Big brother, sister-in-law is a good woman, don't misunderstand her. Yi Juetian still couldn't help but advise. Very much like love. Yihua snorted coldly. Yi Juetian was confused. What does this mean? The two of them drank until their faces and ears were red, and the smell of alcohol filled the room. However, at this moment, the floor suddenly made a sound, and the two brothers immediately looked over. A beautiful woman could be seen crawling out from the secret passage. Qian Yuqing finally saw Yihua. He really came. All of this is real, this is great. Tears of joy could be seen flowing down Qian Yuqing's face as she ran towards Yihua, seemingly wanting to give Yihua a big hug. However, Yihua's face sunk as he stretched out his hand and pushed Qian Yuqing away. Scram. End of this chapter. Chapter 992. Qian Yuqing, who was caught off guard, was pushed down. Yi Juetian was stupefied. Big brother, isn't this too merciless? Qian Yuqing was stupefied as well. Yihua actually pushed me away, and even said, scram. Yihua's face did not have any unnecessary expression, as if the person who was pushed down just now was an enemy, and he did not have any feeling of shame at all. Yi Juetian was the first to react, and he hurriedly walked to the front of Qian Yuqing. Sister-in-law, are you all right? Right now, Qian Yuqing was very confused. It has been 1,000 years since we last met, and now that we finally met again, she was pushed away by Yihua fiercely. I have imagined many scenes of us meeting each other, but I have never imagined such a scene. Yihua did not pay attention to Qian Yuqing, who was at the side, and silently looked at the cup of water, seemingly thinking about something. Yi Juetian helped Qian Yuqing up, and he did not know what to say. In the end, he still said in a low voice, sister-in-law, big brother knew about it, that's why he got angry. This explanation was still very useful, at least it let Qian Yuqing know why Yihua got angry. So it was because of marriage. Qian Yuqing lightly walked to Yihua's back and looked at this familiar back view. It was exactly the same as before, there was no change at all. However, right now, when she really saw it, she did not know what to say anymore. Her mood was exceptionally agitated, nervous, hesitant, and all sorts of other emotions were added together. Yihua, it is not what you think, I did not do anything to let you down, I did not let anyone else touch me. In order to explain clearly, Qian Yuqing threw caution to the wind. Men naturally did not wish for their women to be touched by other men. It has nothing to do with me. Yihua said coldly. However, this coldness was just like a sharp blade that was chopping onto Qian Yuqing's heart. Yi Juetian hurriedly said, big brother, this is definitely the emperor's plot, he knew that you had returned, and thus he was afraid, and thus wanted to use this kind of method to stimulate you. Qian Yuqing stood behind Yihua, feeling wronged. I didn't expect that this kind of misunderstanding would occur during our first meeting. Don't say so much, just go and marry whoever you want to marry, do as you wish. After hearing that, Qian Yuqing bit onto her lips tightly, and tears flowed down her cheeks uncontrollably. After so many years of hard work, at this moment, I actually obtained this kind of ending. Big brother, how can you say that about sister-in-law? Eldest sister-in-law has done so many things for mother. If it wasn't for eldest sister-in-law, mother wouldn't have been able to live for so long. Even if eldest sister-in-law is going to marry into the imperial family, it's also for mother. Why can't you understand eldest sister-in-law's bitter conscience? Why did Yi Juetian feel that his big brother was still the same as before? Yihua's tone was still indifferent. Mother's problem, I am able to solve it myself, there is no need for others to do it for me. Big brother, sister-in-law is one of us, how can she be someone else? Yi Juetian was very confused. Why did he have to say such hurtful words? Qian Yuqing lightly pressed onto Yi Hua's arm. Yi Hua, Yuqing is really not that kind of woman. Yi Hua struggled away from Qian Yuqing's hand. What kind of woman you are, it has nothing to do with me now. I think, I have already said it very clearly. I won't marry him, I will listen to everything you say, okay? Qian Yuqing begged. As long as Yi Hua didn't get angry, she was willing to do anything. Yi Hua said gravely, Qian Yuqing, there is no relationship between you and me anymore. You don't need to listen to me, and I don't want to see you. Scram. Hearing that Yi Hua told her to scram again, Qian Yuqing's tears flowed even more fiercely. Why did it turn out like this? Qian Yuqing held on to her face and left through the secret passage. Her heart was completely broken by Yi Hua. Yi Juetian looked at his big brother, then looked at his sister-in-law who was leaving. He didn't know who he should persuade. Yesterday, they had clearly agreed that big brother and sister-in-law were going to be together again and continue their former fate. However, right now, where is there even a need to continue their former fate? There is basically no such thing. However, right at this moment, Yi Chen's voice rang out from outside, Big brother, His Majesty has sent a decree. Yi Hua immediately stood up and opened the door. Yi Chen, who was standing outside, immediately took a step back and slightly lowered his head, feeling very fearful. Right now, it is better for me not to provoke big brother, lest I end up like my father, being tossed around by big brother. Although it doesn't hurt, my face hurts a lot. Yi Hua didn't say anything and walked towards the main hall. Yi Chen took a look at Yi Juetian, who was in the main hall, then hurriedly followed after Yi Hua. Yi Juetian hurriedly followed after Yi Hua. The emperor is truly anxious to think of ways to get rid of big brother right now. Furthermore, he is going to start from big sister-in-law first. As expected of the emperor. Arriving at the main hall, Yi Hua saw Yi Shan, his mother Lu Jing, and a few brothers. Of course, there was also their mother. Compared to his mother, they were indeed much more mature. His mother seemed to have aged a lot, but the reason for this was because she missed her main body too much. In the future, I will slowly nurse my body back to health. When Yi Shan saw Yi Hua walking over, he didn't have a good expression on his face. As for the two women who were standing at the side, the plump one was called Ren Yu, she was Yi Chen and Yi Yuanqing's birth mother. The other one was rather skinny, but she didn't lose her beauty. After all, she was Yi Shan's woman, and Yi Shan's standards were also very high. She was called Su Peiyu, she was Yi Liangkai and Yi Zhi's birth mother. When the two saw Yi Hua's appearance, they were a bit in disbelief. Last night, Yi family had been in an uproar, scaring them to the point that they couldn't sleep well. This morning, they heard that Yi Hua had returned. Didn't he die? Why did he return? Now that he has returned, what kind of status does my son have? Why did he return, why? It seems like other than Lu Jing and Yi Juetian, everyone in Yi family did not wish for Yi Hua to return. There was a eunuch standing in the main hall, and right now, he was sizing up Yi Hua. As the eunuch that served the emperor, he had to have a pair of eyes that looked at people. How could he let him forget that back then, Yi Hua was the rising star of spiritual city, and even the emperor had to welcome him with a smile. However, Yi Hua's current expression was exactly the same as back then, there wasn't any difference at all. The eunuch felt that this shouldn't be fake. This kind of expression and temperament wasn't something that anyone could imitate. Just take this Yi Juetian for example, even if he wanted to imitate Yi Hua, he wouldn't be able to imitate Yi Hua at all. Prince Yi. The eunuch shouted towards Yi Hua. Yi Hua looked at this transvestite just like that, and he really wished that he could slap that high-pitched duck's voice to death. Towards how the eunuch addressed him, everyone in Yi family was very surprised. Prince. This was a very awesome title. To be able to become a prince, that meant that one would be at the same level as the emperor's relative. It seems like the emperor still fulfilled the promise he made back then and really conferred the title of prince to Yi Hua. How could the emperor not acknowledge it? After all, he had already said it in front of so many people. If he were to deny it now, wouldn't he be laughed at by others? He couldn't afford to lose face like this. The eunuch looked at Yi Hua's expression. As expected, it is the same as back then. Chapter 993. When His Majesty learned that Prince Yi had survived the calamity, he was overjoyed and said that Prince Yi would return sooner or later. Sure enough, His Majesty has issued an edict to invite Prince Yi to a banquet tonight for the whole country to celebrate. After the eunuch finished speaking, he waited for Yi Hua to say some words of thanks. However, Yi Hua remained standing there without moving, and there wasn't any expression on his face at all. I reckon that the news of the marriage was released this morning. His Majesty's hand is truly brilliant. Yi Hua was angered to the point that his expression changed, and he didn't even know what to say anymore. Seeing that Yi Hua did not move, Yi Shan hurriedly kneeled down and thanked Yi Hua. When Yi Shan knelt down, everyone else hurriedly knelt down as well. Of course, Yi Hua was the only exception. I don't even kneel to the heavens, so why would I kneel to a eunuch? What kind of joke was this? Even if the emperor comes, I won't give a damn about him. Unfilial son, why aren't you kneeling down and thanking me? Yi Shan wished that he could slap Yi Hua to death. This Yi family is going to perish in Yi Hua's hands sooner or later. Yi Hua lowered his head and looked towards his biological father, and the latter immediately turned his head away. This unfilial son of mine is so awesome now, to actually hit me just because I don't get along with him. He would definitely be struck by lightning in the future. I curse you, unfilial son. At this time, the eunuch smiled and said, Lord Yi, His Majesty has long said that Prince Yi doesn't need to salute. Indeed, after Yi Hua's death, the emperor had said such words. At this moment, Yi Shan was speechless. This time, the emperor obviously wants to get rid of Yi Hua. I can only hope that when the time comes, the entire Yi family will not be implicated. He was a jinx who would bring harm to people wherever he went. Prince Yi, I shall not disturb you any further. The eunuch bowed slightly and smiled, before leaving the Yi clan. Yi Hua didn't expect that the emperor was so anxious to actually take action so quickly. The Yi Hua of the past was so hateful. After her father-in-law left, Lu Jing said softly, Yi Hua, come with mother. Mother has something to tell you. Yi Hua nodded his head, then followed his mother and walked out of the main hall. Yi Juetian hurriedly left the main hall as well. I belong to Big Brother's faction, and I don't fit in with them. Even if Big Brother peers through the sky, Little Brother will advance and retreat together with Big Brother. Husband, is he really Yi Hua? Ren Yu asked in a low voice, appearing to be very worried. Yi Shan nodded and sat beside him. Su Peiyu served a pot of tea to Yi Shan. Isn't this Yi Hua dead? How did he come back to life? Su Peiyu asked in a low voice, feeling extremely puzzled. How would I know? Yi Shan shouted in a low voice. He was also very annoyed. Things were originally calm and peaceful, but now something had happened. Moreover, it was such a big matter. Just thinking about it made his blood boil. Seeing that their husband was a little angry, Ren Yu and Su Peiyu stopped talking. Husband, when will Yuan Qing come back? Ren Yu asked. With such a change in the family, he should come back to take a look. Yi Shan sipped his tea. Yuan Qing should be able to rush back in the afternoon. When Yi Chen heard that his second sister was returning, he felt somewhat happy in his heart. He had not seen his second sister for more than 10 years already. After all, Yi Yuan Qing and Yi Chen were siblings. Naturally, they had a good relationship. Right now, Yi Yuanqing could be considered to be the highest-ranking official in Yi family. She was also the only female general of spiritual capital. She was always fighting outside and was a tough woman. Meanwhile, the relationship between Yi Yuanqing and Yi Hua was just average. It wasn't very good, but it wasn't very bad either. Yi Yuanqing's relationship with Yi Hua was not like the other brothers who were all jealous of Yi Hua's excellence. Yi Yuanqing wanted to prove that he was more outstanding than his big brother and was able to carry the banner of Yi family. On the other side, Lu Jing brought Yi Hua to her own courtyard. "Little Tian, I want to talk to your big brother." Yi Juetian nodded his head gloomily. "Right now, I am not even allowed to listen to my big brother's words." The mother and son walked to a stone table at the side. "Yi Hua, sit." Yi Hua slowly sat down, and Lu Jing poured 2 cups of tea for him. Lu Jing had thought about it carefully just now and decided to give her son a reminder. Regardless of whether her son was willing to listen or not, this was a reminder that a mother should give. "Yi Hua, you should know that His Majesty is very biased against you. In the past, when something happened to you, it is very likely that the emperor arranged it." Lu Jing had long felt that the matter back then wasn't simple, but she wasn't sure. However, since the emperor announced the marriage announcement in the morning, it is very likely that it was done by him. Yi Hua did not say anything after hearing what Lu Jing said. Even without Lu Jing saying anything, he had already thought of this point. Furthermore, in the past, Yi Hua wanted to usurp the throne. "Do you think that I, the Supreme Overlord, don't know about it? Not only did you deceive everyone, you even deceived a foolish young lady to love you without any regrets. I reckon that Qian Yuqing is also a chess piece in your hands, right? Otherwise, on the day of your wedding, before the wedding ceremony even ended, you already wanted to send your head to someone else. If it is true love, then the ceremony should have already ended, right? If that is the case, the emperor's eyesight is still very bright. If that is the case, doesn't that mean that I, the Supreme Overlord, am a scapegoat?" Seeing that her father was actually crying, Qian Yuqing felt a bit guilty in her heart. "I will just apologize to my father in the future." "Yuqing, just now, His Majesty sent someone over to pass down an order. Tonight, he is going to invite Yi Hua, and your identity will be Huang Yun's fiancé, do you understand?" Hearing what her father said, Qian Yuqing was still shocked in her heart. "I am actually going to be Huang Yun's fiancé. Seems like His Majesty's main purpose is to make Yi Hua angry and make Yi Hua lose face. I really didn't expect that His Majesty was going to give Yi Hua a feast at Hongmen tonight." Yi Juetian, who was hiding under the bed, knew that that eunuch was definitely the first to come to Yi family, and then to come to Qian family. "Yuqing, I know what you are thinking in your heart, but right now, there is no other way. You have to be clear about your own position. Although Yi Hua is a prince right now, he is still a prince without any real power. If he were to do anything, the emperor would definitely take action." Qian Yi was a sensible person, and she knew the pros and cons of this matter. To be more precise, everyone in Spiritual City knew that the current Yi Hua was a god of plague, and whoever came into contact with him would die. To be frank, no one dared to come into contact with Yi Hua, and those who came into contact with Yi Hua would become everyone's enemy. Qian Yuqing nodded her head. "Father, you can be at ease. After so many years have passed, I have already thought things through." After hearing what her father said, Qian Yi felt very gratified. As expected of my daughter, she is finally sensible and obedient. After marrying Huang Yun, she will also be like an empress. No matter how I think about it, marrying Huang Yun right now is the most suitable choice. This might be my daughter's destiny. Chapter 995. Qian Yi let out a breath and patted her daughter's shoulder. "Yuqing, have a good rest. Dress up tonight and enter the palace with father. Qian Yuqing lightly bit her lips and nodded. Qian Yi let out another sigh and walked out of the room. Seeing that her father had left, Qian Yuqing also let out a breath of relief. Little Tian, you can come out now. Yi Juetian crawled out from under the bed with a face full of melancholy. Sister-in-law, I will be going back first. Qian Yuqing nodded her head. She would rather believe that Yi Hua did it to protect her than to believe that Yi Hua really told her to scram. Just thinking about it made her feel warm in her heart. At this moment, inside the palace, Emperor Huang Feiди was currently listening to the report of his eunuch. Do you think that this Yi Hua is the Yi Hua from back then? Huang Feidi stood beside the window and looked at the garden outside as he asked softly. Your Majesty, this old servant thinks that this is the Yi Hua from back then. The eunuch lowered his head and said respectfully. Huang Feidi nodded his head. This eunuch had followed me for close to 10,000 years. This kind of judgment is trustworthy. Furthermore, tonight, I will be able to see if this Yi Hua is real or fake and if I can make an issue out of this. By the way, how is his reaction today? Huang Feidi asked faintly. Your Majesty, Yi Hua's reaction today seems to be filled with anger. Hearing that, Huang Feidi laughed lightly. It's good that he is angry. If he isn't angry, then he wouldn't be called Yi Hua. Your Majesty is wise. The eunuch seized the opportunity to flatter Huang Feidi. Alright, you can go and prepare first. I heard that Yi Yuanqing is coming back today, and I intend to give her a surprise. Huang Feidi said with a strange smile. The eunuch was actually very curious about what kind of surprise it was, but he didn't dare to ask. Yes. This old servant will take his leave. After the eunuch left, Huang Feidi said softly, Yi Hua, isn't your life quite good outside? Why did you come back to suffer? Or do you want to die again? The entire palace was decorated with lanterns and colored banners, preparing for the banquet at night. Not only in the palace, the entire spiritual capital was the same. Every single household actually hung up a red lantern, seemingly as if they were celebrating Yi Hua's return. This kind of reputation is simply unparalleled. Even the current royal cloud couldn't do this. Once again, it showed that Yi Hua was already deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. At this moment, in the tea house of spiritual capital, everyone was discussing and gossiping. Seemingly, everyone was discussing how Yi Hua was able to survive, and what was his purpose for coming back this time. Did you guys hear? Lord Yi has lost his memory now. He has forgotten everything in the past. Really? Did he lose his memory? I heard that Lord Yi was very angry when he saw that Qian Yuqing was going to marry the 9th prince. At this moment, a man in a green cloak said, This is really disappointing. Brother, what do you think? The green-cloaked man said with a trace of worry, To think that I, Prince Yi, got rid of evil for the people 1,000 years ago, and only then did I manage to obtain the peaceful spiritual city that we have today. Yet, the only woman that I deeply loved, yet, when I returned, she married someone else. Isn't this making the soldiers bitterly disappointed? But I heard that both parties agreed on this. The green-cloaked man said in a low voice, Is Qian Yuqing that kind of woman? After finished speaking, the green-cloaked man walked out of the tea house. However, everyone in the tea house was thinking about the question from just now, and the more they thought about it, the more they felt that was the case. This Lord Yi is truly pitiful. He just came back, and his wife is going to marry someone else. That's right, and it was even the emperor who personally gave the decree. Does this count as snatching away his wife's love? Seems like the emperor doesn't treat Lord Yi as well as we thought. Sho, if you say this softly, if someone were to hear it, your head would be chopped off. Thank you for your reminder, brother. However, this kind of topic was still very popular, and even spread out. Everyone was discussing about it. Of course, there was also the matter of what was going to happen during tonight's banquet. This truly made everyone curious. Right now, Yi Hua was thinking about the question. Hearing the sound of the floorboard, Yi Juetian slowly crawled out. Big brother, I have returned. Yi Juetian was already at ease. Sister-in-law had already been coaxed to be happy, and there was no need for her to be angry or not. After hearing that, Yi Hua didn't say anything. Yi Juetian looked at his big brother's expression, then let out a deep sigh. Big brother, do you know what sister-in-law was doing when I went over just now? Yi Hua still didn't say anything, but Yi Juetian discovered that his big brother wanted to ask, but was too embarrassed to ask. Sister-in-law actually, she's at, forget it, it's better that I don't say it, in case big brother gets sad after hearing it. Yi Hua, no matter what you say, I won't be interested. Yi Hua said indifferently. Yi Juetian said in a low voice, Big brother, if I was a step late just now, sister-in-law would have died. Oh. Big brother, sister-in-law committed suicide by hanging herself. Yi Hua laughed lightly, deity, committing suicide by hanging herself, can't you be a bit more realistic when you are lying? Big brother, it's the truth. Sister-in-law no longer has any hope to continue living anymore. Big brother, if you tell sister-in-law to scram, sister-in-law will feel that she has completely scram, so as to not let big brother's eyes feel uncomfortable. Are you done speaking? Big brother, sister-in-law said that if you are willing, she will elope with you. Yi Hua drank a mouthful of tea, and felt that it wasn't as good as Daji's tea. Big brother, are you even listening to what I'm saying? Not at all. Yi Juetian was at his wit's end. I already said that sister-in-law is in such a miserable state, but big brother actually doesn't feel a bit of heartache. This isn't a good sign. Big brother, let's not talk about other things first. During the banquet tonight, you must be calm, don't lose your temper, and don't hit people. In actuality, what Yi Juetian wanted to say was, don't hit father just because you don't agree with him, this will make father lose a lot of face. Yi Hua said faintly, I am looking forward to the banquet, it should be very interesting, right? Yi Juetian was puzzled. Why is my big brother so calm? In the past, he was like this, and now, he is still like this. This kind of temperament is simply impossible to learn. Seems like I won't be able to surpass big brother in this lifetime. At noon, Yi Hua and Yi Juetian went to their mother's courtyard, because their mother had personally cooked some delicious dishes. When Lu Jing saw that her two sons were accompanying her to eat, she felt as happy as she could be. I feel that I don't even need to continue drinking the divine spring anymore. Yi Hua, remember not to get angry tonight. As a mother, Lu Jing had no choice but to repeatedly remind Yi Hua. After hearing that, Yi Hua didn't feel that Lu Jing was long-winded, rather, he felt that Lu Jing was very warm, and thus, he nodded his head. Chapter 996. Regarding tonight's banquet, there is absolutely nothing to be afraid of. I, the Supreme Overlord, have experienced all sorts of situations before. This emperor wants to play with my brain. Sure. I'll take it. He liked people who weren't afraid of death. Who would have thought that something like this would happen on this trip? It was a good way to kill some time. Yuqing didn't have a choice. Yi Hua, don't blame others, okay? Lu Jing said attentively. Yi Juetian also persuaded, that's right, big brother, it's not easy for big sister-in-law. Hearing that, Yi Hua remained silent, causing Lu Jing and Yi Juetian to not know what Yi Hua's attitude was. However, at this moment, a beautiful figure appeared at the door. This woman was wearing a velvet armor. Her face was exquisite, and her figure was hot. She belonged to the type that had voluptuous breasts and was full of heroic spirit. There was also a beauty mole. This was the second son of the Yi clan, Yi Yuanqing. It had to be said that all the children of the Yi family were handsome. None of them looked bad. Although Yi Yuanqing was a woman, her achievements were the best in the Yi family. Of course, when Yi Hua wasn't around, he was ranked first, and his position was even higher than his father's. Others have to call him General Yi honestly. Yi Hua looked towards Yi Yuanqing, who was standing at the entrance of the courtyard. I feel that Yi Yuanqing is not bad, at least, he is much stronger than the others. Yi Yuanqing also looked towards Yi Hua, and disbelief could be seen in her beautiful eyes. Big brother is actually still alive. I thought he was joking. That's impossible, isn't it? But now that the truth was right in front of him, he had no choice but to believe it. Yi Yuanqing took a deep breath and walked over. Her steps were sonorous and powerful, showing off the domineering aura of a tomboy. Her armor rubbed against each other, making her look very dignified. Aunt Lu, Yi Yuanqing greeted respectfully. Lu Jing looked at Yi Yuanqing with a smile. Yi Yuanqing was the one she didn't dislike the most among these children. Yuanqing, sit down and eat with us. Yi Yuanqing didn't stand on ceremony and nodded. Yi Juetian stood up, and still obediently called out, second sister. Little Tian. Yi Yuanqing smiled and called out. Afterward, Yi Hua looked towards Yi Hua and shouted out respectfully, big brother. After hearing that, Yi Hua didn't make a sound, as if the other person wasn't calling out to him. Yi Juetian winked at Yi Yuanqing, then pointed at his own head. Yi Yuanqing felt that Yi Juetian was saying that his big brother's brain was stuck in a door. Big brother, how have you been all these years? Yi Yuanqing, who sat down, asked curiously. Just like Yi Juetian, Yi Yuanqing had viewed Yi Hua as his idol since young. Yi Juetian wanted to become a man like his big brother, but Yi Yuanqing was different, she wanted to surpass her big brother. Yi Hua said indifferently, I have 3 wives right now. Ah! Yi Yuanqing cried out in surprise. Big brother doesn't look like that kind of fickle man, and yet, he actually has 3 wives right now. My God! I have truly underestimated big brother. Yi Juetian gave Yi Yuanqing a meaningful glance, telling him not to mention Qian Yuqing. Yi Yuanqing, who was rushing back home, didn't know about the marriage news yet. However, he would know about it later. Yi Hua said calmly, as for the big sister-in-law that you all are talking about, let her marry into the royal family and fulfill her wish. After hearing that, Yi Yuanqing had a puzzled look on his face. How is it possible for big sister-in-law to marry into the royal family? Lu Jing and Yi Juetian sighed helplessly. This Yi Hua's ability to get jealous is too great, right? He is simply the king of jealousy. In the past, he was even called the king of jealousy in the cultivation world by Qingya. Yi Juetian added, second big sister, just this morning, His Majesty had already given the decree to betroth big sister-in-law to the 9th prince. Impossible. In the past. Yi Yuanqing stopped speaking here. In the past was in the past, right now is the present. His Majesty is definitely making an issue out of big sister-in-law. From the looks of it, Big Brother's return this time didn't make the Emperor happy at all. Big Brother, you have to be careful. Yi Yuanqing said concernedly. Yi Hua felt that this brotherly affection isn't bad. A biological younger brother's concern, and a half-sister who shares the same father but has a different mother. The emotions of humans sure are mysterious, and it makes me feel rather happy. Should I give the world an amnesty? Yi Hua nodded his head. Maintaining his usual style, speak less and do more. Yuanqing, after you finish eating, go back and visit mother, your mother misses you a lot. Aunt Lu, I understand. Yi Yuanqing said respectfully. Chapter 997. The meal lasted for half an hour, and they even drank a little wine in the middle. Lu Jing was also very happy. If her daughter-in-law was here, it would be even more perfect. In the afternoon, Yi Hua lay in his room and slept. He was thinking about what to do at night. How should I play to be cool? It's a pity that there's no one to play with me. While thinking, Yi Hua actually fell asleep, and it was a very dead kind of sleep. Not knowing how long had passed, a hurried knocking sound rang out from outside the door. Big brother. Big brother. Are you there? This was the sound of Yi Yuanqing knocking on the door. Yi Hua, who was lying on the bed, squinted his eyes and saw that the day outside had already turned into night. I'm here. Yi Hua replied. Big brother, we are going to set off. All right. Yi Hua sat up. He was still wearing a black robe, there was no change to it. When I was on Earth, I liked to wear black suits, and when I was here, I liked to wear black robes, which made me look reserved and calm. Yi Hua opened the door and saw Yi Yuanqing, who was dressed like a girl. I haven't dressed like this for a long time, I'm not used to it. Yi Yuanqing said in a low voice. It's good. Yi Hua said faintly. To be able to receive the approval of me is also a kind of blessing. As expected, after hearing Big Brother's approval, Yi Yuanqing didn't feel that awkward anymore. Big brother, I heard from third and fourth brother that you beat up father, is this true? Yi Yuanqing found it hard to believe. When did Big Brother become so awesome, to even beat up father? And, it's true. Yi Hua said indifferently, as if he did something insignificant. Originally, Yi Hua thought that Yi Yuanqing would speak up for Yi Shan, but who knew that Yi Yuanqing would actually give him a thumbs up? This little sister has quite a personality, I like her a little. Don't misunderstand, this kind of liking is different from that kind of liking. Big brother, you are very handsome today. And I know. Yi Yuanqing lowered her head and smiled lightly. Big brother is still so frank, he doesn't know how to compliment me at all. As the little sister, Yi Yuanqing walked behind Yi Hua. In actuality, Yi Yuanqing is also a general now, so it is normal for her to walk side by side with him. However, Yi Yuanqing felt that she didn't surpass Big Brother at all, so she couldn't walk side by side with Big Brother yet. Yi Hua didn't really care about these etiquettes, after all, the number of people who are able to walk at the same pace as me are too few. In the entire Yi clan, only Yi Shan and Yi Yuanqing were officials. Even Yi Qin did not have an official position. This was also the emperor's intention. He did not want too many people in the Yi clan to interfere in politics. After all, Yi family had Yi Hua. Yi Shan felt that everything that happened was all Yi Hua's fault, and if it wasn't for Yi Hua, Yi family would have long reached the top. Would he still end up in a second-rate family? Being laughed at by others. The carriage was already parked outside. The one sitting in the front was Yi Shan's. As a junior, he could only sit in the back. Yi Hua and Yi Yuanqing directly sat on the carriage at the back, and the carriage headed towards the imperial palace. In the carriage, Yi Yuanqing didn't know what to say when he saw how calm his elder brother was. Comfort Big Brother. It seemed that Big Brother didn't need to be comforted at all. If he encountered such a thing, he would definitely be anxious. Even if he didn't show it, he would feel anxious in his heart. However, he felt that his big brother didn't take it to heart at all. He really didn't know how his big brother managed to cultivate such a state of mind. Yi family wasn't very far away from the imperial palace, and sitting in a carriage was also a kind of status symbol. No matter what, it was still Yi family. If they were to walk, wouldn't it be very degrading? The three arrived at the entrance of the imperial palace and got off the carriage. When Yi Hua got off the carriage, everyone in the surroundings went into a daze. This is the legendary Yi Hua. Prince Yi. The only prince with an outsider surname. We pay our respects to Prince Yi. The imperial guards in the surroundings all shouted out in a low voice, and their voices were definitely able to be transmitted into the imperial palace. Yi Hua said faintly, "Get up." Everyone felt an imposing aura coming from Yi Hua. Those 3 words were said too easily, too naturally, as if he had already been a prince for many years. Yi Shan stood at the side and didn't say anything. It would be a lie if he didn't feel angry in his heart. Being beaten up by his son was truly a type of grievance. This was also the first time he was beaten up by his son, and it was the kind where he didn't even have the strength to fight back. Yi Yuanqing felt that the distance between him and his big brother had become a bit further. I thought that after 1,000 years, the distance between me and big brother should have become closer, but it turns out that it didn't. The people who were queuing at the back also looked at Yi Hua with astonishment in their eyes. It's really him. He came back. He is even more domineering than before. It used to be General Yi, but now it's Prince Yi. Greetings, General Yi, the guard greeted Yi Yuanqing respectfully. If Yi Hua was not here, Yi Shan would feel very proud. Everyone felt that the Yi family was going to rise again. The combination of the prince and the general would probably return to the situation in the past. Was the Yi family going to be the dominant family again? Was the lesson from back then not deep enough? Yi Hua directly walked towards the palace, and Yi Yuanqing followed behind him. On the other hand, how could Yi Shan follow behind his son? So, as a father, he would go in after they left. Yi Hua looked at the enormous imperial palace. Compared to my Wushu Empire, this place is slightly inferior. This place is filled with a sense of age. Yi Hua's imperial palace was considered to be too new. Yi Hua's imperial palace was too new. Big brother, how do you feel? Yi Yuanqing asked curiously. Yi Hua said faintly, not bad. Prince Yi, long time no see. Prime Minister Shan Junren greeted with a smile on his face. Yi Yuanqing still wanted to attack and shouted, Prime Minister. Yuanqing, long time no see. You are getting more and more beautiful. Did you find a good family? Prime Minister Shan asked curiously. Yi Yuanqing smiled amiably, there is no hurry now, let's talk about it in the future. Yuanqing, marriage has always been decided by parents, you have to think more about it. Prime Minister Shan said with a teasing tone. Prime Minister is right. Prince Yi, let's go in. You are the main character today, without you, there would be less joy. Yi Hua said lightly, if I am not here, you all should be even happier. Prince Yi sure knows how to joke. Yi Yuanqing, who was standing at the side, felt that big brother had become more tactful. Not only Yi Yuanqing thought so, Shan Junren also felt that this Yi Hua is much better at using his brain than before. In the past, Yi Hua was a one-track-minded person, but now, he is actually so experienced. It seems like during these few years, this fellow has never given up and is constantly training his brain. On this point, Shan Junren guessed correctly. Yi Hua trained his brain by watching Calabash brothers saving his grandfather. Just when the 3 of them walked to the main hall of the imperial palace, a few figures attracted Yi Hua's gaze. Chapter 998. Huang Yun was slightly in front, Qian Yi was on his left, and Qian Yuqing was on his right. Today, Qian Yuqing looked extremely beautiful. This kind of beauty was almost the same as Qingye and the others. They were dressed in festive red robes that were embroidered with exquisite patterns. They matched Huang Yun's robes very well. The 2 of them were dressed in such a way, and their intentions were very clear. Only an unmarried couple would dress like this. Huang Yun was in an exceptionally good mood today. The woman in his heart was finally his. So what if the Yi Hua came back? His father wanted him dead. He had to die. As for Qian Yuqing, she could marry him with just a word from his father. No matter how awesome you, Yi Hua, are, the only thing you lack is a father with monstrous power. And I, Huang Yun, only have this old man. You can have him for the rest of your life. Of course, Qian Yuqing also saw Yi Hua. Qian Yuqing slightly lowered her head, seemingly like she didn't dare to make eye contact with Yi Hua, just like a child who did something wrong. However, in his heart, he was thinking, since Yi Hua wants to protect me, then I can't let Yi Hua worry about me. Furthermore, Yi Hua definitely has a way to free me from this kind of restriction. I just have to obediently listen to Yi Hua's words, and it will be fine as long as I don't disrupt Yi Hua's plans. Yi Yuanqing looked at Huang Yun and his sister-in-law. His gaze was a little shocked. Sister-in-law's appearance. Why did he look so guilty towards his big brother? What was going on? Could it be that sister-in-law was willing to marry Huang Yun? This was impossible. Sister-in-law wasn't that kind of person. Huang Yun and Qian Yi were both sizing up Yi Hua. Huang Yun appeared to be very calm. Right now, your woman is by my side, what else can you do? If you have the ability, come and snatch it. As long as you dare to. Even if your crime is confirmed, Imperial Father will have 10,000 reasons to execute you. Qian Yi's gaze was different. After all, he was her son-in-law in the past and they often met. At that time, their relationship was quite good. However, the current Yi Hua made Qian Yi feel that he was very different from the past. Although Yi Hua's expression is still the same, I feel that compared to the Yi Hua in the past, this Yi Hua will be a bit more decisive. In the past, Yi Hua was a bit sloppy, and this was also his biggest flaw. Right now, Yi Hua was also looking at the three people, but what Yi Hua was looking at wasn't Huang Yun. Not Qian Yuqing either. It was Qian Yi. Yi Hua felt that it was funny in his heart. To think that enemies would actually meet under this kind of environment. This man's ear was chopped off by me in the past. I didn't expect to meet him here. This can also be considered as the first enemy to appear. Should I kill him directly? Lord Yi. Huang Yun greeted with a smile and even bowed. One must know that in the past, Yi Hua was a general, and Prime Minister Shan Junren and Prime Minister Shan Junren didn't get along very well. The opinions of the civil and military officials must be quite different, which was why there was a dispute. In any case, the relationship between the two of them was not good in the past. But now, it was as if he had met an old friend. Right now, Shan Junren was a bit stupefied. Just what is this Yi Hua trying to do? He actually smiled at me. There was a deep meaning to it. Moreover, Qian Yuqing was about to become someone else's wife, yet he could still smile. Was he pretending? Or was he acting? After all, the emperor's intention was for Yi Hua to go and kidnap the bride, then find an excuse to kill him. According to Yi Hua's character, he would definitely go and kidnap the bride, but what about now? Shan Junren couldn't hold it in anymore. I have never seen Yi Hua smile before, and furthermore, he smiled so happily. Shan Yu, who was at the back, naturally recognized Yi Hua. Towards Yi Hua who was acting like this, Shan Yu was very puzzled. I feel more comfortable looking at Yi Hua with a straight face. Yi Hua merely laughed lightly, then retracted his smile. This was the normal expression that Yi Hua had on his face. As for the other expressions, they were all abnormal. Even Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji felt that Yi Hua who was acting coquettishly was just like a lunatic. Prince Yi, this old man is already someone who has one foot in the coffin, unlike you youngsters. In the future, Lingdu still needs fresh blood like you guys. Shan Junren sorted out his emotions and said with a slight smile. In actuality, Shan Junren was saying those words for Huang Yun to hear. If nothing goes wrong, you will be the emperor of the entire deity's kingdom in the future. Huang Yun naturally understood what Shan Junren meant. After Father Emperor abdicates, this throne will belong to me. At this moment, Qian Yi said with a smile, "What Prime Minister Shan said is right, this world belongs to the youngsters." "Lord Qian, I have yet to properly congratulate you." Shan Junren cupped his hands and said with a smile. Chapter 999. This made Qian Yi extremely happy. In the future, the Empress would be her own daughter. Of course, the Qian family had to grow. Just by looking at Shan Junren's attitude, one could tell that he was already starting to flatter him. Qian Yi also cupped her hands and smiled. "This is all my daughter's good fortune, the heavens are watching over her." "Lord Qian, Lord Yi is still standing here. Don't you think your words are a little unpleasant?" All of a sudden, a voice rang out as a man walked over. He was wearing the same robe as Huang Yun. This person's appearance was somewhat similar to Huang Yun's, but his appearance was slightly mediocre. However, this was not a problem, because he was the first prince. Imperial calendar. Seeing this person approach, the surrounding people respectfully called out, "First prince." Imperial brother. Huang Yun also had to address him respectfully. Yi Hua did not say anything. However, Huang Li walked in front of Yi Hua and said with a smile, "Prince Yi." Yi Hua silently nodded his head. Regarding what Huang Li just said, he felt quite comfortable. Huang Yun was the emperor's most beloved son, so the crown prince would definitely be unhappy. Didn't humans often say that the enemy of an enemy was a friend? Interesting. "Lord Qian, you didn't have this attitude back then," Huang Li said in a teasing tone. He was the only one who dared to say such a thing. The others really didn't have the guts. Shan Junren looked at the first prince's attitude and had some suspicions. In the past, the relationship between the first imperial prince and Yi Hua wasn't very good. Right after Yi Hua returned, the first imperial prince's attitude towards Yi Hua changed. Could it be, the eldest prince was the eldest son after all? Enjoy the priority of inheritance. Now that the position of the crown prince had not been decided, it was hard to say who would win or lose. However, it seemed that the ninth prince had a higher chance of winning. As long as there were no mistakes, the ninth prince would definitely be the crown prince, and then it would be confirmed. But now, the first prince's intention seemed to be to rope in Yi Hua. It wasn't that the first prince had never done such a thing in the past, but in the end, he was definitely rejected by Yi Hua. But at that time, Imperial Cloud did not exist at all, and now he had to continue to rope them in. Furthermore, looking at Yi Hua's attitude just now, he doesn't seem to be disgusted at all. Seems like I have to report this matter to the emperor. At this moment, Qian Yi was extremely embarrassed and did not know what to say. Qian Yuqing also felt uncomfortable standing at the side, as if she was a woman who had abandoned her husband and son. "Yi Hua, hurry up and think of a way." Yuqing is embarrassed to even stand here. Don't look at Yuqing like that. Yuqing's body and mind are all yours. This life is yours. Brother Emperor, that's where your words are wrong. Is there anything wrong with a girl getting married when she's of age? Huang Yun was definitely going to stand out and speak up right now. He could not afford to lose face here. However, the two princes standing at the palace gate had already attracted some attention. Huang Li chuckled. "Ninth brother, this is called snatching my love away from me. This is a decree from my father." Huang Yun said calmly. "Oh. In that case, Yuqing, you need to be careful. This is just Imperial Father's decree." As expected of the eldest prince, he wasn't careless when it came to arguing with others. Seeing the slight change in Huang Yun's expression, Huang Li said, "Yuqing, you used to follow Lord Yi around a lot. Why have you changed?" The moment these words were said, Huang Yun's expression darkened even more. At this moment, Yi Hua said calmly, "Once a woman has a change of heart, she will fall out with her husband. That's why, acting cool and smacking faces required cooperation. This Huang Li's cooperation was quite good. Yi Yuanqing, who was at the side, didn't know what his big brother meant. When Qian Yuqing heard what Yi Hua said about her, her heart trembled in pain. She began consoling herself that Yi Hua did this on purpose to protect her. Huang Yun was angry. These two people actually dared to say such things about the woman that I like. How can I tolerate this? Enough. Qian Yuqing is my woman, show some respect. Following Huang Yun's shout, the civil and military officials all looked over. This was the first time that Huang Yun lost his composure. When was it the easiest for a man to lose his composure? It was when it was because of a woman. What is the matter outside? A dignified voice could be heard coming out from within the palace. This caused everyone to tremble. This is the voice of Lingdu's emperor. A eunuch walked forward and shouted, "Enter the palace." Following the eunuch's shout, everyone began entering the palace. Yi Hua looked at the palace of the highest ruler of the gods' realm. Compared to my main body's palace, this palace is just a bit lacking. The one who was sitting on the throne was naturally Huang Feidi. When Huang Feidi saw Yi Hua walking over, Huang Feidi immediately stood up. "Prince Yi, it really is my Prince Yi. Quickly come over and let me take a good look at you." This was also the first time that Yi Hua saw the Emperor of God's realm. The feeling he got was pretty good. At the very least, this Emperor's aura are the best that I have ever seen. Since I am the Yi Hua of the past, I have to play this role well. Yi Hua walked towards the Emperor. As long as I, the Supreme Overlord, wish to, I will be able to twist off the Emperor's head right now. However, if I do that, I will lose a lot of fun. Since he wants to play with his brain, I, the Supreme Overlord, am willing to accompany him. Huang Feidi sized up Yi Hua. If this Yi Hua is a fake, Huang Feidi doesn't really believe it. The feeling that this Yi Hua gives me is exactly the same as the Yi Hua of the past. However, even if that was the case, Huang Feidi would rather that this Yi Hua was a fake. If that was the case, it would just be a false alarm. Huang Feidi could be seen patting onto Yi Hua's shoulders. "Yi Hua, it's good that nothing happened. This is a blessing for spiritual capital. It's a blessing for the people." Yi Hua also put on an act and said, "Thanks to your Majesty's protection, Yi Hua was able to escape death." "Ha ha ha, Yi Hua, let's not talk about other things tonight, let's drink to our heart's content." Yi Hua nodded his head. "You, the Emperor, just want to drink to your heart's content. I don't believe you. You should have already arranged the following programs, right?" Indeed, Huang Feidi seemed to be very happy. However, this kind of attitude of his was all an act that he put on for all of the civil and military officials to see. Huang Feidi wanted the officials to spread the news of what happened tonight. "Seeing that Yi Hua has returned, I am so happy. Prince Yi, take a seat of honor," Huang Feidi said with a slight smile. Just now, when Yi Hua came into contact with Huang Feidi, he discovered that Yi Hua had changed a bit. However, he was unable to tell what had changed. There were 4 tables below the Emperor. On the right side was Yi Hua's, and on the left side was Prime Minister Shan Junren's. The first one on the left was Huang Li, and the second one was Huang Yun. However, Huang Yun needed Qian Yuqing by his side. Towards such a situation, everyone felt that the atmosphere was filled with awkwardness. This Qian Yuqing used to be Prince Ye's woman, and right now, she is actually married to a junior. Such a scene is truly rarely seen. Furthermore, Yi Hua is even sitting there as if nothing happened. Just how much courage does he have to do that? However, for people like Qian Yi, Yi Yuanqing could only sit at the bottom and not at the top. Chapter 1000. Soon, everyone sat down, and the banquet began. Huang Feiди could be seen holding onto a wine cup and standing up. Today, Prince Yi has survived a great calamity and returned to Lingdu. Let us drink this wine together. Your Majesty is wise. May Prince Yi be healthy. Everyone in the palace drank the wine in one gulp. Everyone knew that tonight wasn't going to be a simple night. After drinking the wine, Huang Feiди sat down with a smile on his face. He looked at Yi Hua, then looked at Qian Yuqing. This was the atmosphere that he wanted, but it was still lacking a bit. He still needed a fire to ignite Yi Hua's anger. Soon, the dancers went on stage. Wasn't this kind of banquet just a bunch of officials eating together? It was very simple. Oh right, what were you all arguing about outside the door just now? Huang Feidi asked faintly. It was hard to tell if he was angry or what, but this question was directed at Huang Li and Huang Yun. Huang Yun knew his father's intention, so he directly said, "Father, my brother thinks that I am snatching away his love, which is why I lost my composure." Qian Yuqing, who was sitting at the side, really didn't know what to say. This kind of environment is simply too awkward, and I am the fuse. Beautiful women are indeed troublemakers. Huang Feidi observed Yi Hua's expression and discovered that Yi Hua's expression was very normal. Huang Li, did you say that? Huang Feidi asked faintly. Huang Li said respectfully, "Father, I think that it is indeed so." Huang Li's unyielding attitude was clearly seen in everyone's eyes. He was clearly trying to curry favor with Yi Hua. The emperor was also able to see that, so he didn't criticize Huang Li harshly. Instead, he asked Yi Hua, "Prince Yi, do you think that this counts as snatching away your love?" Yi Hua placed down the wine cup and said faintly, "What happened 1,000 years ago is already in the past. Things remain the same, but people have changed." After finished speaking, he picked up the wine cup and drank it in one gulp. Everyone heard it and felt a bit sour in their hearts. His previous wife had now become someone else's. Any man wouldn't be able to accept this. Qian Yuqing didn't want to continue acting, but she knew that she could only continue acting, otherwise, she would be harming Yi Hua. Qian Yuqing was still able to clearly see the situation. "Prince Yi, you don't blame me, right?" Huang Feidi asked. "No, your Majesty is worrying too much." "That's good. This emperor only found out about Prince Ye's return today. If this emperor knew that Prince Ye had returned, this emperor wouldn't have done such a thing. This emperor offers a toast to Prince Yi." Huang Feidi appeared to be very low profile. Of course, Yi Hua had to give him face. If not, how would he be able to continue with this show? After drinking, Huang Feidi smiled and said, "Prince Yi, in the 1,000 years that you were not here, they have already fallen in love with each other. But Prince Yi, you can rest assured. This emperor will find an even better woman for you." "Thank you, your Majesty," Yi Hua said faintly. Huang Feidi smiled, but his heart was troubled. This was different from what he had expected. Yi Hua's attitude was too cold. This Qian Yuqing was a woman who had bowed to heaven and earth with you in the past. Although it was not completed, it was at least halfway done. Now that she was married to someone else, she could actually face it so calmly without any anger. Initially, I thought that Yi Hua wouldn't be able to hold himself back from flying into a rage on the spot. If that's the case, I would have a chance. Huang Li, who was sitting on the opposite side, was also very puzzled. Could it be that this Yi Hua doesn't want to snatch Qian Yuqing back? "I can help with this matter, but you have to help me obtain the position of the crown prince." However, the result is not like this. This makes me feel very puzzled. Not only was Huang Li puzzled, everyone else felt puzzled. However, Yi Shan, who was sitting below, was about to pat his chest. Fortunately, this unfilial son of mine didn't flip out. If not, Yi family would be in trouble together with him. Yi Yuanqing, who was sitting beside Yi Shan, didn't believe that big brother didn't have any feelings for big sister-in-law. Look at big sister-in-law's expression. Sometimes, a look of grievance would appear on her face. Big brother, what you said just now was too much. It hurt big sister-in-law's heart. Furthermore, it was repeatedly trampling on big sister-in-law's heart. Big sister-in-law is so pitiful, she is really willing to do anything for Aunt Lu. Where else can I find a woman like her? Yuqing, help me pour the wine. At this moment, Huang Yun suddenly said. After Qian Yuqing sat down, she didn't do anything. Things like pouring wine was something that should have been done by Qian Yuqing. Huang Yun was also a person who cared about his face. If they were sitting alone together, he wouldn't have made such a request. However, right now, all of the officials were watching. No matter what, he had to put on an act. When Huang Feidi heard what Huang Yun said, he was very happy. As long as Yihua is angered, it will be fine. Making Yihua angry, this is probably not a simple matter. If Yihua is angered, a lot of people will die. This kind of anger is not something that an ordinary person can accept. Qian Yuqing knew what Huang Yun meant. As the most beautiful woman in the entire Lingdu and even the entire God's realm, pouring wine for a man would show how powerful that man is. However, should I pour the wine or not? After all, in my entire life, I have only poured wine for my father and Yihua. Seeing that Qian Yuqing didn't move even after a long time, Huang Yun was a bit impatient. Yuqing. At this moment, Huang Li said, Yuqing, if you are unwilling, then forget it, don't force others. Towards Huang Li's words, Huang Feidi didn't have any anger on his face. This caused Shan Junren to feel strange. Just why is His Majesty not stopping Huang Li? Even Huang Yun was puzzled. Why didn't Father stop Huang Li from saying such words? Actually, Huang Feidi's thinking is very simple. As long as something happens to Qian Yuqing, it will be able to anger Yihua, so he won't say anything. However, in the eyes of others, it is different. The ninth prince is the son that the emperor dotes on the most. Today, even the most beautiful woman was bestowed to him. Although everyone reckons that this is because of Yihua's return, no matter what, the woman was still bestowed to the ninth prince. However, what happened just now? The eldest prince angrily rebuked the ninth prince, and the emperor tacitly allowed it. Could it be that the ninth prince fell out of favor? Or could it be that the emperor tacitly allowed the eldest prince to compete with the ninth prince? If this is really the case, then the ninth prince's position as the crown prince is not 100% guaranteed. Qian Yuqing secretly took a glance at Yihua and discovered that his gaze is still as cold as ever. However, in order to not disappoint Yihua, I have to be brave. Qian Yuqing held on to the wine pot. This made everyone feel how helpless this woman is. She is truly pitiful, she has become a tool for battle. Seeing that Qian Yuqing picked up the wine pot, Huang Yun felt a lot more comfortable in his heart. This is still giving me face. Seeing that the wine pot is about to be filled to the brim and is about to overflow, Huang Yun stretched out his hand and held on to Qian Yuqing's hand. However, the absent-minded Qian Yuqing suddenly cried out in alarm. The wine pot in her hand directly fell onto the table, and the exquisite food scattered to the side, letting out ear-piercing clanking sounds. Chapter 1001. The wine splashed onto Huang Yun's robe. This made everyone quiet down. Huang Yun, it's not good to hit a woman, right? Huang Li suddenly said, shocking everyone. Did the ninth prince hit Qian Yuqing just now? Is that why she dropped the wine pot in her hand? Isn't the ninth prince too petty? Didn't he just hesitate for a moment? Is there a need to hit someone? Qian Yi, who was sitting below, slightly frowned, seemingly a bit dissatisfied. My daughter is being bullied right now. But what can I do? I can only swallow my anger. However, Qian Yuqing hurriedly said, I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. Qian Yuqing felt as if she was being bullied, but she didn't dare to say it out. That kind of grievance made people feel pity for her. Huang Feidi didn't say anything. Looking at Yihua's attitude, can you still sit still? I can't help but admire you. It's fine. Huang Yun smiled and lightly flicked his robe, instantly drying the wine pot. Imperial brother, women are meant to be doted on. Huang Li grabbed onto the opportunity and ridiculed. He simply didn't want to miss any opportunity to defame Huang Yun. Huang Yun said softly, Imperial brother, this is my family's matter, you don't have to worry about it. Huang Li laughed lightly. I can see father's attitude. If it was before, father would definitely teach me a lesson. But today, Yi Hua was here. With Qian Yuqing, no matter how much I ridiculed him, father wouldn't say anything. Yi Hua looked at them silently and didn't say anything. He seemed very quiet. However, Yi Hua's attitude made a lot of people confused. Just what are these people doing? Of course, Yi Hua wouldn't give them a chance. Right now, this is just an appetizer. Later on, the main course should be served. Huang Feidi suddenly smiled and looked at the officials. Today, the emperor is very happy. Among the youngsters sitting here, who else is unmarried? When everyone heard the emperor's words, they started pondering over the emperor's words. The emperor is obviously planning to be a matchmaker. Among the youngsters sitting here, there are a few who are unmarried. Yi Yuanqing was not calm at all. Yi Shan was even more so. The emperor can't be planning to matchmake his daughter, right? This isn't a good thing. After all, his daughter was now a general guarding the border. Once she got married, she would have to take care of her husband and children. Her position would definitely be removed. I was just thinking that it was fake that the emperor didn't attack the Yi family. If the emperor wanted to make a move on his daughter, then the overall strength of the Yi family would drop a few levels. It's all because of this Yi Hua. As soon as he returned, the entire Yi family was dragged down by him. He was a god of plagues, bringing disaster to others wherever he went. At this moment, all the single young men were on tenterhooks, afraid that the emperor himself would give them an inexplicable marriage. Prime Minister Shan, your young master hasn't gotten married yet, right? Huang Feidi suddenly asked Shan Junren. This startled Shan Junren. He didn't understand what the emperor meant, but he still cupped his hands and replied, Your Majesty, my son is unmarried. Oh. Shan Yu. Huang Feidi shouted. Shan Yu, who was seated below, stood up, tidied up his official robes and walked to the center. Your subject is here. What a good young man, he still hasn't gotten married yet. Shan Yu, what kind of woman do you like? Huang Feidi asked. Everyone was trying to guess the emperor's intentions. I feel that this opponent of mine is a bit interesting, he doesn't play by the rules. Making me rather happy, quickly give me a pleasant surprise. Shan Junren looked at his son who was kneeling down, and his brows gradually wrinkled. Could it be that the emperor is thinking of? Shan Yu said respectfully, Your Majesty will make the decision. There's nothing wrong with what Shan Yu said. If Shan Yu said that he likes this and that, the emperor would definitely be dissatisfied. Since the emperor chose me, there must definitely be a plan. Could it be that the emperor wants to go against the emperor's decree? In this god's realm, the emperor who sits on the throne. He is a god. Everything is decided by him. Prime Minister Shan, your son is not bad. Shan Junren turned his head and cupped his hands. Your Majesty, my son is truly unpresentable. TSK. What you said is wrong, I feel that it's fine. Is there any woman here who hasn't gotten married yet? Huang Feidi continued to ask. That question was a bit redundant. In the entire main hall, there was only one woman, Yi Yuanqing, and she just so happened to not have gotten married yet. If the emperor wasn't talking about her, who else would he be talking about? Yi Shan's entire face darkened. As expected, the emperor is going to make a move. The reason why Yi family is able to become the head of a second-rate family is because their daughter is a general. If their daughter gets married, without the position of a general, then Yi family will completely withdraw from the stage of history. His Majesty is going to exterminate Yi Hua to the last man, not leaving any leeway. Although it is said that Yi Hua married into the Prime Minister's family, in the end, she is still a woman. What can a woman do? She might as well be happier than being a general. Yi Yuanqing is the same. My goal is not to get married, sleep with others, and give birth to children for others. My goal is to surpass my big brother and bravely kill the enemies at the border. But hearing what the emperor said, it is clear that the emperor is targeting me. Right now, Yi Shan didn't know if he should respond to the emperor's words or not. The emperor obviously wants me to take the initiative to offer up my daughter. This way, I won't be talked about by others. But right now, if I don't say it, it would be even less of a problem in the emperor's eyes. Then, the problem now is, should I keep my daughter or should I offer up my daughter? Both of these are dangerous, and neither of them is good. The emperor is forcing me to make a choice. Yi Yuanqing naturally knew what the emperor meant, and also knew what his father was thinking right now. This time, the emperor is determined to get rid of Yi family. To be more precise, the emperor wants to get rid of Big Brother. The atmosphere at the scene was a bit strange. Everyone would secretly look towards Yi Shan. This man who was in the limelight in the past, has now become in dire straits. This is truly the true meaning of life. Right now, it all depends on how this Yi Shan is going to choose. In any case, no matter what choice he makes, the consequences will be the same. It all depends on the emperor's attitude. Yi Hua also looked towards his biological father. I don't have a good impression of him, but I am also curious about what kind of choice my biological father will make. Of course, I also know why the emperor is like this. This is truly an eye-opener for me. Yi Yuanqing's breathing was a bit hurried, and Yi Shan was the same as well. His brain was struggling frantically. My daughter is definitely going to be married off. I might as well give the emperor some face, and it will be easier for me to talk in the future. My daughter is definitely going to be married off. If I were to anger the emperor, that would be a huge problem. After thinking through this problem, Yi Shan stood up and cupped his hands, replying to Your Majesty, my daughter, Yi Yuanqing, is still unmarried. Looking at his biological father taking the initiative to offer up his daughter, Yi Hua sneered in his heart. This kind of man. He can't even protect his family, he might as well just die. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.